Jon Jones has come back. After making a decision to move up to the heavyweight division, Bones had been waiting for a perfect return. He wants to face Stipe Miocic, one of the greatest heavyweight fighters.
Going up to heavyweight has been an amazing process. I've been on a vertical diet by Stanfordine for about 9 months now, and it's been tremendous. Right now I'm about 150 pounds, and I feel really good.
He's just a regular guy, his motivation and what he likes, what he wants to do, his goals, and you're just like, man, you can reach out for him. You're like, I love this dude, he's a good dude. He doesn't like to say what he wants to do, he just does everything he's supposed to, which, that's great. That's what you gotta do.
At UFC 260, former heavyweight champion Stipe Miocic puts the gold on the line against Francis Ngannou's second fight.
I always say it here, when he fought Ngannou, immigrant mentality like a motherfucker. Yeah, he hits hard and all that stuff like that, but now that dude's still gonna be more dangerous now.
Francis Ngannou, he was better at staying patient. He didn't wing punches trying to knock Stipe out.
Ngannou left no doubt that he had become the best heavyweight on the planet, knocking out Miocic with a brutal sequence of strikes in the second round to claim heavyweight gold.
Francis is supposed to have surgery this week. He's going to be out for a year with this knee surgery. The UFC, in order to move on, would probably do an interim title.
People have been talking about how awesome this part is, and I was just telling somebody the other day, our lineup for this summer is incredible. So I'm hoping that Jon Jones is going to be a part of that lineup this summer.
Dana White saying that he's targeting Stipe Miocic versus Jon Jones as Francis Ngannou is out with an injury, which is going to top off International Fight Week, which usually has a big card.
So the UFC has been looking to put together interim heavyweight title fight between Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic in a pay-per-view main event that would match the best heavyweight in UFC history.
The only fight that makes sense for Jon Jones if it's not Stipe Miocic, and that's the fight for the interim title because Stipe is the most accomplished, the greatest heavyweight of all time. Jon Jones only makes sense for him to fight for a title going up. If the interim is on the line, I think the interim title fight you got to make is Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic.
Yeah, that's the fight that's going to happen. That's where you're going to be able to really see the creativity of Jon. He got to the point where he was so good that people really started to adapt to him.
If you have that skill set, the skill set that Jon Jones has, doesn't matter what weight class, he will be able to compete. You can love him, you can hate him, but that's a fact. So for him to go to heavyweight, I don't know if it's as risky as people are trying to make it seem, but he can fight those guys.
Jones working to stabilize his weight around 270 pounds, and he then dropped 5 pounds ahead of the weigh-in to reach the heavyweight limit of 265. After conquering the light heavyweight division, it always made sense for one of the best fighters in UFC history to take on a new challenge.
I want to do it the right way. I want to take my time, I just feel like I want to give the fans like a really great product. I don't really feel like this is jumping one weight class. Going from light heavyweight to heavyweight is like jumping 3 weight classes.
Jon Jones, he's a big man. About a light heavyweight going up to heavyweight, or anytime you see somebody switching a weight class, jumping up a weight class, because now he's saying he's walking around at 260 pounds. There will be some improvements, he will be stronger, but I think in terms of his gas tank, he's going to have an effect, and his speed definitely will be compromised.
Jones has long been an all-the-way and all-the-way-out fighter. The champion wants to work from the end of his kicking and jabbing range or in the clinch, 2 areas where his tremendous physical assets are at their most effective. Jones is a man with fantastic kicks who's entirely unconcerned about the possibility of having his wrestle or clinch.
That one hurt him, that one opened him. Big elbows, trying to finish this fight. Jones to the body, and it is all over!
I study everybody extensively, and then I come up with their patterns. I figure out the way they flinch. I figure out their first favorite punch, their second favorite punch, their third, their favorite combinations, their setups to their takedowns, when they clinch, what side their head's going to be in. Literally everything. I know everything about every opponent. What am I going to do about that,
In his bout with Rampage Jackson, the power puncher was already fatigued and injured by the time Jones dragged him to the mat. It was easy for Jones to overwhelm his defense with a rear naked choke. Similarly, Belfort was thoroughly battered prior to getting trapped in an Americana.
Jon Jones has defended his UFC Light Heavyweight Championship.
Jon Jones got the worst timing ever with his, fight announcements and his tweets. Like, the public has been just begging for it. We want to see Jon at heavyweight. We want to see Jon at heavyweight.
Against Chanel Sonnen, Jones utilized the clinch to set up yet another takedown and rained down his signature elbows until the fight came to an end.
He's in trouble.
Jon Jones has regained the throne!
Wow!
And also one thing about Jon's striking game is that it's ever-evolving, so you never really know which tricks he's added up his sleeve. The beauty of his striking game is purely in the unpredictability.
heavyweight title is on the line.
Unbelievable. What a fight.
I feel like just my kind of speed and versatility is going to be the biggest difference. My endurance is going to be a huge difference. My light heavyweight fighting experience is going to be one of the big differences. And I am really excited to mature and to learn. And every day is just a learning process, every situation we go through. And the person that I feel that I am right now today, I'm really excited about my future, yeah, for sure.
Jones has a powerful double leg takedown. He likes to finish against the fence, with his opponent pinned along the fence and his hands clasped. Once on top of his opponent, Jones is a devastating ground striker. If he's able to posture up, Jones can dispose of his opponent quickly, even in full guard.
Jon Jones knows how to win. The only person that can really counter that is a guy that takes risk. That's the only way you're going to beat Jon Jones. You won't beat him with attack, counterattack, anticipation. You know, all these fighters, like Jon was putting these dudes away. Jon Jones is the greatest of all time. I think he's going to cement that. He's the best competitor right now in the UFC pound for pound A division.
To defeat Jones, you have to be a counter-striker with solid kickboxing. The first thing you'll see with John's stand-up is that he has a very open stance and usually leaves his lead leg out. Peppering his legs with solid kicks throughout the fight is a must.
Stipe, you got to think how crazy it is that he went from being a guy who was homeless to 5 years later fighting for the heavyweight title. This is like a total amount of training. 5 years of MMA training, fighting for the heavyweight title, and he's the favorite. That's how talented he is. That's how terrifying he is. That's how special he is.
I'm always training. I mean, there's no question. Then just if I knew, I wouldn't be a fighter. I'd be a matchmaker, like I always say. But listen, like I said, I'll fight anyone, and I'm just getting better.
Stipe Miocic has skills, conditioning, toughness, size, power. His game relies heavily on fundamentals, but when given all those attributes, it works consistently at a very high level.
He's just a special athlete, and if he keeps going, man, I mean, boy, that guy learning more, he's an amazing story, man. And for a lot of people, the way it ended is a good lesson for martial artists. He knew what to do. He'd been there before. That's an incredible lesson for mixed martial arts in general.
Stipe Miocic's wrestling background has been a major asset to his game even if he spends more time boxing, as he's been quite successful in wrestling exchanges on offense and defense. It also helps that Miocic is a quality athlete for the division, a solid mix of speed and power. These half shots serve a significant purpose, as they keep his opponent off balance and give Miocic an opportunity to read his opponent.
Stipe has the boxing, the hand speed, the one-shot knockout power. Stipe is amazing at those pivot crosses with his right hand, going to the body and stuff, which a lot of fighters don't do. Stipe can make something happen. He's extremely precise with his hands, he's powerful with the right, and he has good angles. Even though it seems kind of simple, that alone out of Stipe can have him win the fight. We have literally the greatest heavyweight of all time.
Against Andrei Arlovski, Miocic connected with a short right hand that landed perfectly. Arlovski was already gone. A few follow-up punches sent him to the mat, and followed that up with some nasty ground. Immediately after winning, he stormed across the cage and shouted at UFC President Dana White, and demanded a title shot.
Stipe Miocic fights anyone. He's as tough, he's as durable, and he is as good as anybody in the heavyweight division.
At UFC 198, Miocic eventually faced Werdum inside Arena da Bixada. Miocic was backpedaling when Werdum aggressively charged after him and ran right into a looping right hand which caught him flush in the jaw. Werdum face planted to the mat, and the bout was waved off at the 2-minute 47-second of the opening round.
Well, look how much power you have to have going backwards on your heel to deliver that kind of blow.
Stipe, when he fought Overeem, it was significantly different than when I saw him in his first and second fights. His first and second fights, he was very good, but just insanely strong. He would hit guys with these combinations and clean technique too, man. He's not just a physically strong guy, he's also very smart because he's learning to do everything mechanically very good.
Fight's over. Stipe looking at Hogan to stop it, and he will. Stipe Miocic, the path to the UFC heavyweight title still goes.
Stipe, like a super alpha athlete, versus one of the toughest guys ever, who's been in the game longer, who knows more, he's wrestled, he's been fighting way more. He's been in the trenches way more times. He's had to dig deep. He knows what it's like to be really hurt and tired in a fight.
Stipe Miocic trying to successfully defend this belt for a 4th time.
In the second fight rematch against Daniel Cormier in UFC 243, Miocic demonstrated his ability to improvise, developing his strategy of hitting the body somewhere near the end of the second round. Once he started finding success with body shots, Miocic stuck to that script. In the 4th round, Miocic clipped Cormier with a right hand that rocked him, leading to the follow-up punches that earned Miocic his belt back.
More than a year, and once again the heavyweight division belongs to him.
In the 3rd match against Cormier, Miocic improved his game plan. In the first 2 bouts, Miocic was often pursuing Cormier or standing directly in range, though his overall choice of weapons jabs. As a result, Cormier had to close an extra step of distance, meaning his punches seemed slower than in previous fights, and he often left himself open to do so. Miocic landed and avoided at a much better rate, simply by being a bit more evasive.
Still the undisputed UFC heavyweight.
I don't worry about it too much. I wish everyone best of luck, and I don't worry about it too much. Honestly, I just do my thing and watch the fights. And sometimes I see if I watch a fight, maybe something I like, maybe I should try. But I really don't care. Just get myself ready.
Stipe's barely a heavyweight. I think he's the greatest heavyweight champion of all time. Like, I weigh more than Stipe does right now.
Jones won't knock him out. Jones won't punch him and put him to sleep. It doesn't matter what he weighs. He does not have that punching power. He doesn't hit very hard. Kicks hard. He knows that if he goes and fights Jones, it would be very competitive, very good fight, because Jones won't knock him out.
I just want to be the different, and I'm excited to grow. I'm excited to be more honest with myself than ever before, and just elevate to a new place, not only as an athlete, but spiritually, mentally, and I'm excited.
We have been waiting on Jon Jones. There's anticipation to see what he will be like in the heavyweight division. And you have a guy like Stipe Miocic who really isn't getting the respect you would think a former champ or the greatest heavyweight champ in UFC history. That's a massive fight to make, and if you make that fight, the winner of that immediately becomes the #1 contender.
I want to be more conditioned, more skilled, and just as strong, if not the strongest guy.
Give him a rematch and give him a belt back.